Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to physics class. In previous class, we discussed the concept of nuclear fusion, and also nuclear reactor, power of the nuclear reactor. So, in chain reaction, what are the conditions for chain reaction? Chain reaction conditions means first one, there is one thermal neutron is essential. For the nuclear fission of uranium-235, one thermal neutron is compulsory. Next one, mass of the fuel should not be less than certain minimum value which is equivalent to critical mass of the fuel. For uranium-235, critical mass is equal to 10 kilograms. Next, the chain reaction depends one more parameter known as K. K means neutron reproduction factor or neutron multiplication factor. Neutron multiplication factor K is equal to number of neutrons in present generation by number of neutrons in previous generation, or rate of production of neutrons by rate of loss of neutrons. Suppose if the value of K is less than 1, K less than 1 means rate of production of neutrons will be less than or compared with the rate of loss of neutrons. In that situation, the chain reaction is said to be in decelerated state. It is also called subcritical state. If K is equal to 1, the chain reaction is said to be in equilibrium state. That is also called critical state. If K is greater than 1, the chain reaction is said to be in accelerated state. It is also called as supercritical state. Right? Okay. Next again, nuclear reactor. The device which is used to convert nuclear energy into electrical energy is known as the nuclear reactor. Are you understand? And what is the working principle of nuclear reactor? Reactor is working on the principle of controlled chain reaction. Right? Reactor is working on the principle of controlled chain reaction. Next one, what are the main parts of the nuclear reactor and what is the formula for power of the reactor? Generally, the main parts in the nuclear reactor are fuel. Next one, controlling rods, moderators, coolants, protective shielding, and working nature of nuclear reactor explained in the previous class. Power of the reactor is equal to P is equal to N into E by T, where E is equal to energy released in each fission, which is equal to 200 mega electron volts in case of uranium-235. N is equal to number of fissions in T seconds. So, okay. The problems on nuclear reactor, some of the problems they are discussed in the previous class also. Now, my kind request is to complete the problems on nuclear reactor in module 1, module 2 and module 3 completely, because it is very important for mains level and also NEET level. Are you understand? Okay. So next one, reactors are of two types. First one, breeder reactor. Second one, power reactor. So, nuclear reactor, power of the reactor is equal to Ne by T. That means power reactor means it converts nuclear energy into electrical energy. Second one is breeder reactor. Breeder reactor means it is a type of reactor which produces more fuel than consumes. Say for example, uranium-235 is the fuel, right? Suppose 2 gram of fuel is consumed in the breeder reactor. Again, the reactor itself produces 4 grams of uranium, means it produces more fuel than consumes. It is called as the breeder reactor. This is only the concept based on IP level, not for object level. So that's why breeder reactor, it is a device used to convert a non-fissionable material into fissionable material and also produce more fuel than it consumes. What is non-fissionable material and fissionable material? Uranium-235. It is easily fissionable by using a thermal neutron. Suppose a thermal neutron is injected into the uranium nucleus. Uranium nucleus 235 is divided into or splits into two parts, barium and krypton. But uranium-238, it is a non-fissionable material. Non-fissionable material means it cannot be split up into two fragments by using a thermal neutron. Easily. So that's why it is to be a non-fissionable material. This non-fissionable material that is used in the breeder reactor, and also it can be split up into some fragments and also produces nuclear fuel. How? Say here, uranium-238 is bombarded with neutron, thermal neutron, fast moving neutron. Remember this thing. For the fission of uranium-238, we are having a neutron having higher energy or higher velocity. So, a fast moving neutron is bombarded with uranium-238, it will convert into 90-239 and also emits a neutrino. Here nu is equal to neutrino. Neutrino. It is one type of elementary particle. Next one, uranium-239 is comparable to uranium-238. It is very unstable. At any moment, it will convert into neptunium-239 and also emits one electron along with nu bar. Nu bar is known as the anti-neutrino. Nu is equal to neutrino, nu bar is equal to anti-neutrino. Again, neptunium is also very unstable. 239, it will split up into plutonium-239 plus emits one more electron and also anti-neutrino. That means, finally, uranium-238 will convert into plutonium. But here, the plutonium properties, nuclear reactive properties of the plutonium will be very similar to uranium-235. That means, here the plutonium is produced means it is also taken the fuel inside the nuclear reactor. So, one uranium-238 converts into plutonium. Certain amount of uranium-238 used in the breeder reactor, that means a large amount of plutonium neutrons or plutonium nuclei produced. That means the mass of the fuel will be increased. Okay now? That's why a non-fissionable material converts into fissionable material and produce more amount of nuclear fuel than it consumes is known as the breeder reactor. This is true and this is more important in case of IP point of view and also in case of theoretical levels. Are you understand? Right. Next one, what is meant by nuclear fusion? What is meant by nuclear fusion? Fission means a heavy nucleus is split up into two or more fragments is called as the nuclear fusion. Fusion means two or more than two lighter nuclei are combined to form a heavy nucleus and also emits a large amount of energy is known as the nuclear fusion. Why fusion reactions are taking place here? Because for lighter nuclei they are very unstable. Suppose in case of hydrogen nucleus or a proton, hydrogen nucleus is very lighter nuclei whose average binding energy approximately 1.1 mega electron volts. Right? So for stability, two or more lighter nuclei are combined to form a heavy nucleus and this process is called as nuclear fusion. Say for example, 4 protons are combined to form a helium nucleus and emits 2 positrons plus some amount of energy. 2 positron. What is a positron? Positron is the anti-particle of electron. Remember this point, anti-particle. Electron is represented by E minus 1 0. Positron is represented by E plus 1 0. Electron is the antiparticle of positron. Positron is also antiparticle of electron. Now, masses of these two particles remains constant. Only magnitude of the charge is also equal to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. But electron is having negative charge and also positron is having positive charge. And the main difference is magnitude of charge will be different. Sorry. Sign of the charge will be different. Magnitude remains constant. That's right. So what is the antiparticle? A particle whose mass is similar to one of the particle and having the charge opposite the first one is known as the antiparticle. So positron is the antiparticle of electron. Both are having same mass. Charge is same, but one is negative, second one is positive. So here what is E plus 1 0. Here E plus 1 0 is called as the positron. It is nothing but antiparticle of electron. Remember this point. 4 protons are combined to form a helium nucleus. Helium nucleus, it is very stable and compared to the protons. Average binding energy of helium-2 is equal to approximately 7.7 MeV. 2 positron plus emits some amount of energy. Here, the amount of energy released in this case is equal to nearly 26.7 mega electron volts. 26.7 mega electron volts. Now here, suppose how many protons or how many nuclei are involved in the nuclear reaction? 4. For 4 protons, amount of energy released is equal to 26.7 MeV, mega electron volts. For 1 nucleon, amount of energy is equal to 26.7 by 4. It is nearly equal to 7 mega electron volts, or 6 point something. That is equal to 7. Right? Approximately 7 mega electron volts. But in case of nuclear fusion of uranium atom, uranium-92-235 is bombarded with neutron. It will split up into barium, krypton plus 3 neutrons plus energy. What is energy here? 200 mega electron volts. How many nucleons are involved in the reaction? 235 plus 1. For 236 nucleons, energy released is equal to 200 mega electron volts. For 1 nucleon, amount of energy is equal to 200 by 236. It is approximately 0.8 MeV. So, for each nucleon, energy released is equal to 0.8 mega electron volts in case of nuclear fission. In case of nuclear fusion, energy released per nucleon is equal to approximately 7 mega electron volts. Compare these two. In which case amount of energy will be and when energy released will be more? Nuclear fusion reactions. Approximately the energy released per nucleon in case of nuclear fusion nearly 10 times more than that of the nuclear fusion reactions. So that's why nuclear fusion reactions are very strong and compared to the fission reactions. Otherwise, fusion reactions are also more energetic and compared with the fission reactions. Are you understand? So, on an average, energy released per nucleon in case of nuclear fusion is equal to 7 mega electron volts. But here one question is arise. Sir, how these 4 protons are combined to form a helium nucleus? 4 protons. See, for example, 1 proton plus 1 proton. And what is the charge lying on proton? Positive charge. Second one is also having positive charge. How these protons are combined? Is it possible? But in general, that is not possible. If 2 protons, they are having a certain distance. One is having positive charge, another one is also having positive charge. These two are approaching like this. Up to certain distance, there is an attractive force. But If the distance between the protons decreases beyond this limit, there should be a strong repulsive force or Coulomb repulsive forces. So, due to Coulomb repulsive forces, these two protons are moving away from one another. They are not combined. Then, how is possible for nuclear fusion reactions? I am saying here, 4 protons are combined to form helium. 4 protons are combined. 4 hydrogens are combined. 1 proton is combined with the another. These 2 are combined with the another. These 3 are combined with the another. Means these 4 protons are combined means some external energy or work is given to 2 protons. So these 2 protons are moving like this, and there should be a repulsive force. To combine these 2 protons, there should be a large amount of work or energy will be given to 2 protons so that they are moving or crushing to each other. So that large amount of energy is not possible in any reaction, or is not possible on the earth surface. So these reactions are possible only at high temperatures and high pressure. High temperature means temperature is very high means there is a large amount of heat energy available for the reactions. So nuclear fusion reactions can take place only at the surface of the stars and at the surface of the sun, and compared with the earth. On the earth, these are not possible. That means 4 protons, they are combined. That means they are having a large temperature, a large amount of heat energy. It is possible at the surface of the sun. Surface temperature of the sun is approximately 6000 kelvins. That's why at the surface of the sun, these protons are combined so that amount of energy will be released. Are you understand? That's why amount of energy liberated or released from the sun, that is in the form of nuclear fusion reactions. So to take the nuclear fusion reactions, fuel must be very more, means hydrogen is very high. That means more hydrogen deposits are present on the surface of the stars. So the energy released by the nuclear fusion reactions is right. For nuclear fusion reactions, they can be take place at high temperatures and also high pressures. That's why these reactions are also said to be thermonuclear reactions. Thermonuclear reactions. Right? Next one. How the nuclear energy will be released on the surface of the sun and also on the surface of the stars. They will be in the form of 2 cycles, which are called as the carbon-nitrogen cycle and also proton-proton cycle. Therefore, that 2 cycles are responsible for the stellar energy. Stellar energy means the energy emitted from the sun or the energy emitted from the star, that will be depends on some cycles. They are called as the carbon-nitrogen cycle and proton-proton cycles. Right? Right? In case of nuclear fusion reactions, they can be take place in the form of 2 cycles. Briefly, I will explain it. These 2 are also important only on the basis of IPE level, not for IIT or MCTs. Now here, how the energy will be released in the form of nuclear fusion or in the process of carbon-nitrogen cycle. Let here carbon-nitrogen cycle. First one, let us consider a carbon isotope, carbon atom, carbon 612. It is reacted with a proton that produces nitrogen 713 and also emits some energy in the form of gamma rays. Nitrogen 713 is unstable. At any moment it will convert into carbon 613 and also emits from positive. E plus 1 0 means positive. Again, carbon 613 is once again reacted with a proton. It will produce nitrogen 714 plus gamma rays, means some energy. Gamma means in the form of energy. Also, nitrogen 714 is reacted with one more proton. it will emits oxygen 815 plus also one positron. Oxygen 815 is also isotope, it is also very unstable. At any moment it will convert into nitrogen 715 plus one positron. Again, nitrogen 715 is reacted with one more proton. Again, it will convert into carbon 612 plus helium 24 plus energy. See here, my dear students, reaction is starting with carbon 612, ending with carbon 612 and also helium 24. These are the stable. So, reaction starting from the carbon and nitrogen. Carbon, nitrogen. Approximately carbon, nitrogen atoms are involved in many more atoms. That's why it is to be a carbon, nitrogen cell. So, on adding all these reactions, we get, see here, nitrogen 713, nitrogen 713. These two are cancelled. These are reactants, these are the products. Carbon 613, carbon 613. Nitrogen 714, nitrogen 714. Oxygen 815, oxygen 815. On two sides. Nitrogen 715 and nitrogen 715. So after cancelling all these, and how many, what are the elements lying in the reactants? Reactants are carbon 612. Here one is a proton. Again, this carbon 612 is also cancelled with this carbon 612. Right? So on the reactant side, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here 4 protons are combined. 4 protons are combined. Then what are the remaining values on the reactant and product side? Helium 24 plus how many positrons are there? 1, 2, 3. Sorry. So here this is a gamma form. This is a gamma form. There are only 2 positrons. 2 positrons plus 1, 2, 3, 4 gamma rays. Gamma rays means energy, and the energy is represented by Q. Experimentally, this value of Q is found to be 26.7 MeV. 26.7 MeV. That's why 4 protons are combined to form a helium nucleus plus 2 positrons and also 26.7 megaelectron volt of energy. This is a reaction takes place in the cycle known as carbon nitrogen cycle. This is introduced by the scientist Bothe. That's why it is also called as the Bothe cycle. Next one, another one is proton cycle. On the surface of the stars, there is more amount of hydrogens. One proton is reacting with one more proton. This produces one neutron plus a positron. H11 plus H11 is equal to H12 plus one positron. Right? Next one, this neutron is once again reacting with one more proton. This will produce He23, isotope of helium, plus this amount of energy. But again, this He23, helium-23 produced in this circle. The same circle will be taken in the surroundings one. Akkada kuda He23 form avutundi. So, ee reaction lo forming He23 and He23 released in the other reaction. These two are combined to produce helium-24 plus 2 hydrogens plus gamma complex. So, by adding these equations means to equalize these reactions, suppose first equation is multiplied with 2, second equation is multiplied with 2. See here, H12, 2 neutrons cancel. Next one, here 2 hydrogens, here 2 hydrogens, 2 into hydrogens cancel. Next, here how many number of, right, 2 He23 and He23, these are cancelled. So how many protons are there in the reactant side? 1, 2, 2 into 2 is 4. Therefore, 4 protons, they are combined to form, here this is helium-24 nucleus plus E into 2 means 2 positrons amount of energy is equal to Q, and also here Q is equal to 26.7 megaelectron volts. Sir, what is the difference between this carbon nitrogen product cycle? In general, carbon nitrogen cycle, the energy released in the form of carbon nitrogen cycle, this takes place at low temperature and low pressure and compared with surface temperature of the sun. Right? If the temperature is warm, surface temperature of the star is warm, energy will be released in the form of product cycles. Okay now? So this is the concept about carbon nitrogen cycle and product cycles. Compulsory these two are practiced in many more times. These are very important for IT point of view. Explain the carbon nitrogen cycle, proton product cycle for stellar energy. So these equations compulsory they are diagrammed. Okay, right. Okay, my dear students, the last topic in the chapter of nuclei is pair production and annihilation. Pair production and annihilation. What is meant by pair production? What is meant by annihilation? Pair production means the splitting of a gamma ray photon into electron and positron is known as the pair production. Electron and positron. Electron, positron, positron is the antiparticle of electron. That means the splitting of a gamma ray photon into a particle and its antiparticle is known as the pair production. Right? Just before we explain the pair production, what is the energy, rest mass energy of electron and also positron? Rest mass energy of electron and positron. Mass of the electron is equal to mass of the electron and mass of the positron. It is nearly equal to 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kilograms. The mass of the electron. Rest mass of the electron. Energy corresponding to this mass is given by from Einstein formula E is equal to mc square. Suppose m is equal to 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kilograms into velocity of light is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second whole square and total value obtained in joules. This is equal to 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 into 9 into 10 to the power 16 squaring on this joules. Or this is 9 ones are 9, 9 nines are 81.9 into 10 power minus 31 plus 16. What is this value? Minus 15. 81.9 into 10 power minus 15. Right? It is in joules. Energy corresponding to rest mass of electron or positron is equal to 81.9 into 10 power minus 15 joules. This is in joules. But in electron volts, what is value? 1 electron volt is equal to formula 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. Okay. Therefore, 1 joule is equal to 1 by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 electron volts. Therefore, the energy corresponding to rest mass of electron or positron is equal to 81.9 into 10 to the power minus 15 by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 total value in electron volts. Right? This is equal on solving this 0.051 electron. Capital E is equal to 0.051 MeV mega electrons. Mega means 10 power 6. 10 power minus 19 10 power plus 19 minus 50 plus 19 means 10 power 4. 81 by approximately 80 by 16. 80 by 16 means 81 by 1.6 into 10 power 4 or 81 by 16 into 10 power 5. It is nearly 5 times. 5 into 10 power 5. Right? Or 0.5 into 10 power 6. 0.5. 0.51. 0.51 mega electron volts. So this is in electron volts. 0.5 into 10 power 6 means mega electron volts. This is the derivation or the calculation about the concept. Approximately, energy of the resonance energy of electron or positron is 0.51 mega electron volts. 0.51 mega electron volts. Next one, what is meant by a pair production? Pair production. Already, pair production means the splitting of a gamma ray photon into electron and also positron. Electron and positron is called as the pair production. The splitting of gamma ray photon into electron and positron is called as the pair production. The reverse process of this is called as the annihilation. Means, suppose a particle and its anti-particle are combined to form a gamma ray photon is called as the annihilation. Okay. So this is a gamma ray photon splits up into electron and positron. It is called as the pair production. To form the pair production, what is the minimum energy of gamma ray photon needed? Minimum energy of gamma ray photon means minimum energy of electron and minimum energy of positron. When they are having minimum energies, they are at rest. Means they are having rest mass energies. Rest mass energy of electron or positron is 0.51. It is 0.51 and 0.51. 0.51 plus 0.5. What is the value? Total value? 1.02. 1.02 MeV. That's why the minimum energy of gamma ray photon required to form electron and positron or to form the pair production is equal to 1.02 mega electron volts. So that's why suppose the energy of gamma ray photon greater than or equal to 1.02 MeV. Greater than or equal to 1.02 MeV. Here pair production is possible. Pair production is possible. Second one, photoelectric emission also possible. Photoelectric emission also possible. Why? What is the concept of photoelectric emission? When a light of sufficient energy is made to incident on the photometal, later electrons ejected from it, they are called as the photoelectrons and the process is called photoelectric emission. Suppose this is the surface, light is incident on the photosurface in the form of photons. Electrons are ejected from it. This is called as the photoelectric emission. If the energy of incident photon should be greater than 1.02 MeV, 1.02 MeV, photoelectric emission possible and also pair production also possible. Okavela, if the energy of gamma ray photon is less than 1.02 MeV, less than 1.02 MeV, less than means it cannot be split up into electron and positron. That means pair production not possible. Pair production not possible. But photoelectric emission possible. Photoelectric emission possible. These are very important cases. Next, I will explain 2 or 3 problems based on pair production. So here there is an example. An electron positron pair is produced by the gamma ray photon of energy 2.1 mega electron volts. Find the kinetic energy imparted to each of the charged particles. Suppose in case of wave reaction, a gamma ray photon splits up into electron and positron. Minimum energy means electron and positron they are at rest. So the minimum energy of gamma ray photon depends on 1.02 MeV. But here energy of the photon is equal to 2.1 MeV. To just liberate electron and positron, minimum energy 1.02. 2.1 is more than 1.02 means the remaining energy will be given to both the particles in the form of kinetic energy. Right? Therefore, Ke of each particle is equal to K of each particle is equal to energy of the gamma ray photon minus resonance energy of both electron and positron is equal to 1.02 by 2 because for each one. That is 2.1 minus 1.02 means 8, 0, 1.08 by 2. It is 0.54 MeV. 0.54 MeV. This is the kinetic energy of each particle. Right? Next example 2. Here it is remembered. A 1 megaelectron volt positron and 1 megaelectron volt electron, they are meet each other moving in opposite directions. They inherit each other by emitting 2 photons. These two are combined to emit 2 gamma ray photons. 2 photons. If the resonance energy of electron is 0.51 MeV, then wavelength of each photon is equal. Resonance energy of positron and electron is equal to 0.51 MeV. These two are combined to form and also to emit 2 gamma ray photons. Find the wavelength of the emitted photon. This is the equation. Suppose here 1 megaelectron volt means 1 megaelectron volt positron, 1 megaelectron volt electron means these two are independently kinetic energies of both the particles, not resonance energies. Before they are annihilated, they are approaching towards each other. Means they have some kinetic energy. That kinetic energies are given as 1 MeV and 1 MeV. In addition to these, resonance energies of each particle is 0.51 MeV. That's why, according to law of conservation of energy, 1 megaelectron volt kinetic energy for positron plus 1 megaelectron volt kinetic energy for electron plus resonance energy of electron 0.51 plus for positron 0.51, and this is the total energy release. This should be equal to in the form of 2 gamma rays. 2 gamma rays, 2 into energy of each gamma. Right? 1 plus 1 2. 0.51 to 0.51. 1.02. 1.02 plus 2. 2.02 is equal to 2 into energy of gamma ray photon is equal to hc by lambda. Therefore, from this hc by lambda is equal to 2.02 by 2 means 1.01 MeV, m and mega into 10 power 6. Again, H into C is equal to 12,400 by lambda angstrom is equal to 1.01 into 10 power 6. On solving this, lambda for each positron, each gamma ray photon is equal to 8.3 into 10 power minus 3 angstrom. So this is the wavelength corresponding to each gamma ray photon. Are you understand? Remember this formula always. This is very important. Here we are using conservation of energy, law of conservation of energy. According to that, total energy before this one is equal to total energy of emitted photons. 1 plus 1 kinetic energies of both the waves. 0.5 and 0.5 they are the resonance energies of both the waves. That should be equal to 2 gamma ray photons. Right? Thank you. So here this total unity concept is over. In this 23 syllabus is nuclear fission, nuclear fusion, pair production, annihilation, and also the next concept is semiconducting devices. Thank you.